Penny. Hello, welcome. It's Lisa. I am a local realtor in Northwest Indiana, and behind me is my dog, Penny. I am at home, and before I leave for appointments today, I thought it'd be easiest to come on and share with you some market statistics in real estate in Northwest Indiana. The reason why I'm doing this is because I get asked all the time. I've been in real estate 20 years, and yesterday I was at the Y swimming, and the gentleman in the lane next to me asked me what the market was like where he lived. So I am thinking it's a good idea to share that with the world. I am going through a couple of different programs that I use. And the first one, we're going to look at what's called Fast Stats. This is specific to Crown Point, and I'm going to touch a couple of places today, but right now I'm going to talk about Crown Point because my office is in Crown Point. I live near Crown Point, and a lot of homes I've sold this year have been in the Crown Point area already. This compares Crown Point sales for June because the July numbers, we haven't finished July yet, so we don't have the comprehensive amount of numbers. So we're focusing on last month, June, which is usually a very busy month. We had a 23.4% change in new listings. We had 23% less new listings out. And let me focus, these numbers do not reflect new construction properties. They're going to be only properties that were single family of some sort. So it could be condos, townhomes in Crown Point in the zip code 46307. It could be single family condos, townhomes, half duplexes that were previously owned that sold in REALTOR. So these are other ones that used a realtor. If they were new construction, they're not going to be included in this. If they sold for sale by owner, they are not included in this stat either. But most people go through a realtor in our area for the maximum exposure. We had a 23.4% less new listings in June. We did have more closed sales, which means a lot of the homes that were that went under contract in late April or in May closed in June, and there were more of those. So it seems like people were jumping the gun much earlier this year than they did last year. 12% is significant. The change in median sales price rose 6.6%, which is pretty good. That's comparing from same time last year. So we're comparing June of 2024 to June of 2025 to get those numbers. So 6.6% higher. The median sales price in June for closed sales in Crown Point was $325,000. Last year in 2024, the median sales price was $305,000. Now, the average sales price, which is actually different than the median kind of takes all those numbers and looks at the middle number, whereas the average adds all those numbers and then divides by the total amount. They are slightly different. The average sales price in June 2025 was much higher at $391,357, while the average sales price in June of 2024 was at $307,000. Now that average sales price, which is why we're going to focus on the median because it's probably more accurate, that average sales price was up 27.1% from the previous year. Percent of original list price received was holding close to steady at 97.5%. Last June, it was 97.3%. Those are still good numbers. They also indicate we're still in a strong seller's market. The other thing that we look at is how many homes are for sale. In June, we had 72 homes for sale. We were down a few homes compared to the previous year, but our month supply of inventory went to 1.9, which is down. But the lower that number is for month supply of inventory and the percent of original list price received are two major factors that we use when we determine if it is a seller's market, a buyer's market, or a balanced market. This is definitely for Crown Point is still a seller's market. We can also compare the year-to-date sales compared to last year. So from January 1st until the end of June, compared to 2024 from 2025, we can see that we had more new listings show up year to date. However, in the specific month of June, there were less. And I know that might look confusing to you, but if you look at the whole from January until end of June, we had more homes put on the market, new listings, and we also had more pendings and more closed sales, which makes sense because there were more listings on the market so far year to date. When you look then, taking all that into account, that median sales price does go down. It stayed the same as last year at 300,000. That has remained the same. And when you look at that compared to June specific, it's still a little less. But we tend to see when you have a longer amount, you're going to get a little bit more of that even keel when you look at those numbers. And again, percent of original list price received is staying steady right around that 97%. So everything's fine there. If you digest things better in a bar or a line graph, this is for you. New listings in June, 59, year-to-date 296. Year-to-date closed sales, 213 compared to last year, which I just explained. The color black represents 2025, whereas blue represents 2024 for both the line graph and for the bar graph. Our median sales price, you can see this is a rolling 12-month calculation from 2015, and you could see it steadily rising. We did not have any massive drops. Now in 2024, you see a small dip here. And in this case, this is Crown Point, which is still much higher than the entire MLS in general. And the entire MLS covers a large range of Northwest Indiana. Now, if I get out of there and I go into InfoSparks, which is a wonderful statistics digesting tool that I have, and we look at, let's go in and let's look at all of Lake County if we can. Just to get something a little additional. This counts for new construction and previously owned. So we're going to mix it up a little bit just to give you some additional information. In June of 2025, last month, we saw 1,317 new listings on the market. That does include new construction. That is for the entire range of Lake County. So that's up 1.2%. But if we look at our average sales price, and this is a line graph, our average sales price in Lake County is holding close to steady, but it's slightly down at 268,000 for the month of June. That's still significant. And if you looked at those Crown Point numbers specifically, there's a massive difference there. So it does show you that different areas do bring in different prices. And I think which towns and locations are seeing a lot more new construction, that's going to change dramatically too with the prices. If we look at our month supply of homes for sale throughout Lake County, we're holding at 2.5 months for the month of June. That's down 7.4%. And I will tell you, like I said, if the number is low, that is a seller's market. If the number is like in the middle, like 4, 5, 6, that is more of a balanced market. Anything over that is a buyer's market. So we are seeing it come back down, but we are in the middle of summer. And I want to say, personally, I feel like the majority of buyers that are just can't wait to get a home tend to start looking in April and May. And by June, they are putting in offers or closing on a house. This is an interesting thing, showings until pending. So this is the median number of showings before you get a house under contract throughout Lake County for the month of June. What we saw was the median amount was 8 showings. So if you had 8 showings and you still did not have your house under contract, it was time to reevaluate and see if you needed to make adjustments to your price, to the marketing, to any of the accommodations that you were offering in general. There was a reason why it wasn't showing. That's the median. Percent of list price. 98.2% of list price to sold price. So that is also accounting for new construction. A lot of new construction don't really, if you're using a builder that is a production builder, you don't see them negotiate on price often. Rarely, if ever. It really has to be a buyer's market to do that negotiation. So this could be slightly skewed because it's taking into account new construction and it's also taking into account all of Lake County. But even then, it's very close to the numbers we saw for Crown Point alone. Those were at that 97 percentile. This is 98.2, which is actually a little bit down. A little bit down. We have 1,000. We already went through this, but we have 1,317 homes for sale currently throughout Lake County in the month of June. Pendings, as we're changing numbers, was 593. So that's how part of how they calculate your month supply to determine if we are in a seller's market, balanced, or buyers. Days on market was averaging in June for Lake County was 14. 14. And did we go to sales price 268? We talked about our number of new homes. So showings per listing, 4.7. That is wild. That is wild. It tells me that there are also, in some areas of Lake County, there are less buyers looking. And the buyers that are looking are very serious buyers. This is general. These are statistics. We're not looking at any specific homes, but if you are curious about what your home could be worth, my website, yourblueribbonrealtor.com, looks like this when you log on, yourblueribbonrealtor.com. This is my small plug. This is my website. Click on home value. You can search for homes as well, but if you click on home value, it will ask how much is your home really worth. You can pop in your address and find out. You will get emailed. You'll have to put in your email, but you will get an emailed report, and it will look at all the different statistics that we're looking at, and in a very easily digestible, you'll see comps, you'll see other homes that are for sale in your neighborhood, what's pending, and what has closed. And I will probably reach out just to make sure you got the report and see if you had any questions, but feel free to utilize that. It's a great tool, and it is there for everybody. It does send you quarterly updates as well. We'll get an updated report to your email also when there's significant changes to your market. So no matter where you are, whether you're in Crown Point, Lake County, Chesterton, Porter County, Newton County, anywhere in Northwest Indiana, Jasper County, LaPorte County, we're here to help with that and provide that information for you. If you have any questions, let me know. Were you surprised by these numbers? Put it in those remarks, and I will put a link to this and all this information in the description box. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.